All righty, folks. I have to ask a question straight out of the small and mighty real estate investor. And of course, I'm going to ask the author. How you doing, Chad?
Doing well, Michael. Thanks for having me.
So first off, the small and mighty real estate investor is some book that everyone needs to read, whether you've just starting, you're in the mix, or you've got a decent portfolio, because it is really the backbone of what one rental at a time is. We can all do it. But you have a unique, I guess, thought process or framework around negotiations that I think people really need to appreciate, because I think, again, I'm a sales guy, commission based. I probably naturally slant to it's a tug of war. It's I win, you lose, kind of bipolar. And you really have a unique way of looking at negotiations, especially around creative financing in real estate, that I think is awesome and correct. And I think you should share it with the audience.
Yeah. So my frame of mind, and by the way, there's lots of different ways to succeed as a negotiator. So this is kind of my approach. Everybody kind of listen how it works. The metaphor I like to use is that when you go talk to someone, particularly a seller of property, I often try to get directly to the seller instead of having to go through the agent. That was my best deals. I still bought through the agent here and there, but my best deals is where I reached out to a seller, sent a letter. But the metaphor for how this works is instead of like traditionally you think, okay, negotiation is a tug of war. Like the seller has one side of the rope, I have one side of the rope. And really all a negotiation is back and forth. I offer 100,000, they want 200,000, and maybe we meet in the middle at 150 and then we get a deal, right? That's kind of a typical idea of a negotiation. I don't like that idea because yes, sometimes that's what you have to do. Somebody wants to just kind of hold their cards close to their chest, but 99% of the time, what happens with me is more like a puzzle. So
Yeah.
the negotiation is not a tug of war. It's, hey, here's this person's situation. They're like a puzzle and they have a bunch of the puzzle pieces turned over on the table. And I actually tell the sellers this, by the way, I explain it this way.
Yeah.
I say, hey, I know like you might be suspicious of me. I'm an investor. I'm trying to make money on this deal. Like I'm going to be upfront about that. I am an investor, but my goal here is that we can try to have something where you sell this property to me and you get exactly what you want. I make money on it and we're both happy. That may not be possible, but that's my goal. And my process of doing that is I see myself as someone who solves puzzles. And
Yeah.
this conversation you and I are having right now, to the extent that you're willing to share and be open about what you're trying to accomplish, is we'll just turn those puzzle pieces over, and I'll use my expertise as a real estate investor to try to help you get to where you're trying to go to finish that puzzle.
And the reason I wanted to highlight this and the reason more people need to buy your book is because that skill, I'll even call it that mindset, is far more important the next 2 to 3 years than the last 2 to 3 years. It's always important. But like we talked about in a previous episode, there are golden eras. And I think creative financing is in the golden era. We're repeating 1981 to 1987 for the next 3 to 4 years. And if you go into a seller situation, they want to sell, you want to buy. In my world, you're going into a days on market over 30 or 45 days. So it's not selling the traditional way, at least at the price. So if you can go in and have an honest discussion, like you said, I'm an investor. What I would tell them is I am an investor. I have to structure this deal for as a long-term hold. I'm not a flipper. I'm not a wholesale. My intention is to own this property until the day I die. So what does that mean, Mr. or Mrs. Seller? I have to structure cash flow day one. And oh, by the way, have you seen interest rates? I can't do that today with a bank loan. But maybe by turning over a couple of puzzle pieces, we can find a solution where you get what you want, I get what I want, and we're happy. And like you said, I love that one line. It might not be possible.
Yeah, you kind of diffuse. You got in a negotiation. I have found the biggest obstacle is trust.
Yes.
And this is really all of our society is really glued together by trust, which is kind of disconcerting when you think about a lot of the stuff going on out there. It's all like trust issues. People don't trust each other. But when we have a conversation with someone, we can build trust. And this is actually not a new concept. I wrote about it in the book. This is like going back to Aristotle in ancient Greece. He wrote this whole treatise. This is hard to read this book. I've had to like kind of read Cliff Note versions of this thing, but it's like there's a treatise on how do you negotiate? How do you persuade people? And it's not tricks, and it's not being like sneaky. it's building trust with another person. And in ancient Greek, they had these words for it. There was ethos and pathos and logos. And ethos basically means you are trying to build your credibility with that person. You're trying to have them know that you're a real person. You're authentic. Hey, this is me. So when I walked into a negotiation, I was very self-conscious when I was 23 years old starting this business. Like, who am I buying your house? I'm just living in my business partner's spare bedroom. I would have to try to build credibility with them. I would dress a little bit nicer. Like today, I wear t-shirts all the time. Like I don't care who you are, banker, whatever. I'm wearing a t-shirt. But back then, I would dress a little nicer. I had reference letters from my college professors and from my football coach and from the local people in town. So credibility, trust. This person doesn't know me. How do I build credibility? And you do that with references. You do that with your presentation, how you come across to people. You do it with your body language, honestly, because most of your communication is not the words you say. It's the eye contact. It's your body. It's how you hold your body. And you know what? You can't fake all that other stuff. And so you might as well just be real. If you're a brand new investor, be real. Like talk to them. Like, hey, I'm brand new, but I've been studying hard with this. I listen to Michael Zuber and Coach Carson every week on YouTube. You might not want to say that one, but in any case, you build a little credibility. But then the other side of that, here's where the puzzle pieces come in. You then the pathos that Aristotle talked about was understanding your audience. You've got to understand them. And here's the takeaway to remember how to deal with that is we are born with 2 ears and we have 1 mouth. And you need to keep your conversations in proportion to that. You need to be listening at least 2/3 of the time and talking no more than 1/3 of the time. And this is such a common problem when I'm coaching people is like they have, let's use a bad visual here, diarrhea of the mouth. They're just blah, 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 blah. And they're talking about seller financing and we could do this and we could make a down payment. It's like, no. This conversation is about them. It's about the puzzle. It's not about me. It's about them. And so if you can keep those 2 things in mind, it's about me building credibility to the extent I can. It's about me learning about them as much as they're willing to share. And then the third piece of that, the logos, is the logical offer that you make. And so most people just jump straight to the offer. They're just going with the hammer and they're saying, this is the engineering logical way to buy your property. It has no bearing with human beings. We don't make decisions based on logic. As logical as you think, the most logical person in the world still makes decisions emotionally because they want something in their life. They have this objective. And so if you can unlock that idea, there's a lot of details that go into all that. If you can unlock the idea that you want to listen more than you talk, you want to build credibility and trust with someone, then you'll earn the right to make offers that they might not have considered otherwise. For example, leasing the property to me with an option to buy it with a small down payment, selling it to me with seller financing, buying it subject to the mortgage, or just buying it at a lower price than maybe they would have agreed to otherwise. It's possible if you can help them get to where they're trying to go. And you have to show that logical offer also is helping them get to where they want to go.
Yeah, the one thing, again, I really do think we're heading into a golden era where the small and mighty investor, the playbook, the Bible that you've created, needs to be consumed and reread because it is a puzzle. It's not a back and forth. And one of the things that you said that I want to hammer home is for the last 20 years, I sold enterprise software, which meant I was selling stuff between $1 million and, $10 million. And one thing you brought up is the thing that I was good at is people buy emotionally, but they justify logically. Most people that I competed with and why I was consistently one of the top people and my team was top is most people want to do all the logic. What is the ROI? What is the payback period? How much faster? How much this? How much that? No. You have to go uncover a positive emotion. You have to get them understand and feel something. Once they feel it, and now obviously you're hoping for a positive feel, it's possible it becomes a negative feel, which then you're done. But if it's a positive feeling, then you can go, then the logic stuff just happens because they've already seen it. So when you're having conversations today with sellers who have their property on the market for 45 days and they want to sell, just ask questions and listen because they're going to tell you what they want. And maybe price isn't the thing, or maybe it's not price today. Maybe it's like, you know what? I need a little bit of money today, but what I really need is a lot of money in 5 years. Well, that would be good information to know. So I think you have it there. And again, I think your analogy of a puzzle is awesome. And I love how I can picture it in my head, right? You're just turning over pieces as you're having a conversation. It's perfect.
Well, I encourage people to learn from that. And I love your background in sales as well. I mean, emotions, whether you're selling something that's $1 million or $100 million or $100,000 house, it's all, we're all human beings. And so this puzzle that Aristotle figured out, that we're still figuring out, hasn't changed. And that's kind of encouraging when we're in a market where all the news is saying things are changing. It's never going to be the same. No, like people are people, houses are houses. People are investing in real estate back in the early days of civilization. Hey, we're gonna survive
Franklin
here.
For the win.
We're gonna survive here. We're gonna be okay if we focus on the things we can control. And negotiation is absolutely one of the key, most important skills you can develop, especially in the golden age we're in right now.
Folks, go buy it. The Small and Mighty Real Estate Investor. Chad, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Michael. See you later.